All right. It is Wednesday. I'm looking forward to diving into the book of James with you guys today. And as always, we start out with some prayer requests. Ask you to be in prayer for Ken and Nancy Seegers. Nancy was able to come home from Parkview. She is doing very well, having home health come in, be able to do some therapy, do a little bit of treatment on her. And we just thank God that she is doing better. Ken has had some good days and had a few not so good days, but they're still trying to figure things out. So if you would pray for Ken, for clarity in his mind, pray for the doctors as they try to kind of pinpoint some things and figure out how to move forward from here. Ask you to especially be in prayer for Darren and Kim as they make some decisions and see what needs to be done in the short term here. So we just pray for them. I know this is a difficult situation all around, and we just want to pray that God's in the middle of it and providing peace and comfort as only He can. I would also ask that you be in prayer for Tori Smith. This is the daughter of one of the gals that goes to church here, Joelle. We just ask that you be in prayer for Tori. She lost her fiance in an accident. He was killed, and it's just a sad, sad situation. So we want to be in prayer for them. Just pray that you would lift them up and let the Lord be working in that situation as well. We've got several recovering from surgeries, and we're thankful that they're doing as well as they have. We've got several that were traveling for Thanksgiving, and they're back home. So we really give God praise and glory for a lot of the wonderful things He's doing. We had a sort of an extended time of prayer and praise on Sunday morning. And even in the midst of that, it was wonderful to hear that God is at work and doing some great things. And He's even comforting those that have experienced loss. So if you would, just keep those that we mentioned in prayer. And I know there's always some unspoken, so we want to lift those up as well. So if you've got a prayer request, I'd invite you to share that with me. You can send that to reedlandchristian@gmail.com. Excuse me. You can drop that into the comments below, and I'd be happy to pray alongside of you and see what God wants to do in that particular situation. So we'll pause, if you would, maybe have some prayer and open up, and then we'll jump right in. All right. Today's lesson is going to be, I say, a little shorter than usual. We are going to be hanging the greens this evening at church, with it being this coming Sunday is the first Sunday in December, so we're going to be putting up our Christmas tree. And when it comes to the Christmas holidays and it comes to all the festivities and everything that's going on, why not read James chapter 3, verses 5 and 6? This might not be the most festive thing that you've ever heard, but it's something that goes along with what we've been talking about. And I think it's something we probably ought to realize, that there can be stress in this time of year. There can be a lot of things. And if we let our tongue get the best of us, if we let our temper get the best of us, it might be that we are giving in to a big tempting moment from Satan. So with that being said, James chapter 3, starting at verse 5. So also the tongue is a small member. If you remember 2 weeks ago when we were together, we talked about that just a small rudder can steer a ship. Something very small, like a bit in the horse's mouth, is able to turn a horse wherever it is that you want to go. And the tongue can turn our life, can steer us in the right direction or the wrong direction. And he says, so the tongue is a small member, yet it boasts of great things. How great a forest is set ablaze by such a small fire. And the tongue is a fire, a world of unrighteousness. The tongue is set among our members, staining the whole body, setting on fire the entire course of life, and set on fire by hell itself. Well, Merry Christmas. We might look at that and we say, boy, that is not a very encouraging or uplifting verse, and yet it is good for us to have a sober reminder of exactly what we're capable of. I know over the years I've said it, but we have the old saying, we teach our little kids, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, that's not really true sometimes. Some of the most awful things that have happened to me, some of the most pain I've ever felt has not been when I fell and broke my arm, or when I had surgery, or when I did this, that, or the other. The most pain that I felt is when someone has spoke to me in a degrading and demeaning and disrespectful way. It just tears you apart and it sticks with you. It's sometimes hard to shake. And when you hear these words, even though the tongue is a small member, it boasts of great things. It's set on fire by hell itself, James tells us. And again, Sure, this isn't the most Christmassy or festive lesson, but I think it's good for us to be reminded. There are a lot of us that around this time of year, when you go out to Walmart and you're just shoulder to shoulder with people. You're trying to get the best deals. Maybe you went out and you waged the war of Black Friday and you got all the deals at the sales. Maybe you were smart and you stayed home and you got waited until Cyber Monday to get the deals and you had them sent to your house and you didn't have to be around. Either way, it's easy to get frustrated. You see something that you want and pride takes over, greed or passion takes over, and you might say something that you would never say. There's some awful things that have been said and done on the Black Fridays of years ago, and even this year. People would never do that just on a random Tuesday afternoon, in May or June. It's not something that they would do even on a weekend sale where there's some better prices on TVs. It seems like that the holidays and the desire to get something nice for our family, it brings out sometimes the worst in us. And a lot of people aren't going to throw a punch. They're not going to resort to physical violence, although sadly there are some that will do that. Many people will just say, I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. I'm going to tell them off. And they begin to think of what's something I can say that'll really stab at somebody, that'll really hurt them and get to the core of really poking at them, and it's going to make a big dent. It starts to make sense when James says how great a forest is set ablaze by such a small fire, and the tongue is a fire, a world of unrighteousness. The tongue is set among our members, staining the whole body. If we let our tongue get out of control, it is setting our entire life, our entire world, our entire body on fire. We talked about this before, but you can start to calmly talk about something, and the more that you talk about it, the more you get revved up. You say, I can't believe that they would do something like that. That really bothers me. Who do they think they are? I can't believe that they would do something like that. And you just whip yourself up into a frenzy. And it's easy to see what James is saying here when he says that the tongue itself is set on fire by hell. The devil uses our words, and he can prey upon us in times of weakness, and we allow our tongue to get the better of us. We allow our tongue to control us. We think that, I'm going to tell them what I think, or I'm going to set them straight. And maybe silence is the best key. And what I wanted to add from Matthew chapter 12 here, I think it gives a little bit of color or a little bit of flavor to what we're getting at here, is Matthew chapter 12, starting at verse 34. It says, "From out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks." So if we are in a situation where our tongue is staining our whole body, it is set on fire by hell itself, we're told here, for out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Maybe it's not that our mouth has a problem. Maybe it's our heart has a problem. Maybe those nasty, awful, evil things that we would say, and then we think, oh boy, I wish I hadn't come up with that. Wish I hadn't have said that. I wish my filter would have been on and I would have, maybe not spoke so quickly. That was in our heart. It was already there. It was deep down inside of us, and we just let it come out. For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Verse 35 of Matthew 12 says, "The good person out of his good treasure brings forth good, and the evil person out of his evil treasure brings forth evil." So when we're in those moments where we're tired and we're run down and we just want to get out of wherever we're shopping at, or we just want to get away from this conversation, we let ourselves get a little too heated because we just want to cut it off. We want to be done. Maybe we say something I won't say that we don't mean, because as we're shown here, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. It's down there. It's not, well, I didn't mean that. Yeah, you didn't mean to say that, is what you probably should say. Maybe we need to say, Lord, temper my tongue. Help me to not speak immediately. Verse 36 of Matthew 12 says, "I tell you, on the day of judgment, people will give an account for every careless word they speak. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned." Well, again, not really a Merry Christmas, ho, 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 deck the halls, kind of a message here, but it's something that is good for us to hear. It's good for us to be reminded there is power in our words, what we say, how we say it. And if our heart is overflowing out of our mouth and it's evil and it's negative, we gotta get that under control. And it's not just so that, well, I want people to like me, or I want to have friends and I don't want to run people off. Those are momentary things. You can say something and maybe a relationship will heal. Maybe you can, over the long term make up for saying something that you didn't really think, or saying something that you didn't really want someone to hear, being mean spirited or whatnot. But until we begin to change what's going on in our heart, until we change what's going on the inside of us that causes the overflow to speak and it to be mean or snarky or just hateful, bitter, just dripping with sarcasm and just stabbing constantly, maybe we need to think. It's going to affect some things right now, and I don't want to run people off, but also maybe we need to think. I tell you, on the day of judgment, people will give an account for every careless word they speak. We'll have to stand before God and explain, why did you say that? Why did you say it that way? Was that necessary? Was there a better way to communicate that? Did you have to say it at all? For by your words you will be justified, or by your words you will be condemned. I think it's a good time for us as we enter into Christmas, and we have this season where there's a lot of time with family. There's a lot of pressure building. There's a lot of stress. It gets darker early, and we're kind of in the dark for a lot longer. We don't have that sunlight to kind of bring us out of that old rut that we've got ourselves into, or that we find ourselves in. It's easy to lash out. So I'll just get it out. I'll just say it, and it's out. I'm done. It's out of me. But when we do that, other people now have to deal with it. We've now laid a burden on someone else because we just wanted to get something off of our chest. And in reality, maybe we need to be planning for eternity, planning for the moment that we see God face to face. And we will have to answer for every word that we have ever said. The tone in which we say it, the reason behind, why am I saying this? Hey, I've got a prayer request I want to share with you. Did you hear about what so-and-so did, or what's going on with them? And it sounds like a prayer request, but maybe it's gossip. Only God knows our hearts. And from out of the abundance of our heart, our mouth is speaking. So I challenge you to take some time. Don't let the tongue be that member that is set on fire by hell itself. Don't let it poison or stain your whole body. Take some time. Maybe, don't say anything right away. And if you are saying something, does it have to be negative? Does it have to be, let's bring up the past and all the bad things somebody has done? Maybe we can just let it be. At the very best, maybe we're just quiet. We smile and we say, nobody's perfect, I guess. We don't even have to say that. We just smile and go on. And maybe we say, God, help me. Help me not to say something that I'm going to regret. Help me not to say something that is from a place of anger, bitterness, or evil. Help me that when I do see you face to face, God, that I don't have to give an account for some really awful things. Ask God to guide your heart and your tongue as it overflows what's already in there. I encourage you to take some time, pray a little bit. Don't let your tongue poison or stain your whole body. Don't let it set everything on fire in your life. Ask God for some wisdom and some discernment. What should I say? Should I say anything? How should I communicate this? Let the good person out of good treasure bring forth good. Is what you're saying an encouragement, a kindness? Are you showing people grace and mercy in the way that you talk? Or is there negativity and anger and bitterness and frustration and sarcasm? Let God guide your words. And, maybe the old saying is true. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. But maybe ask God, Lord, help me to be an encourager. Help me to be someone that lifts people up, not tears them down. Let me be one that brings good out of the good things I have in my life. So take some time, have a little bit of prayer, and ask God, Lord, how can I speak in a positive and encouraging way so that you receive the glory that you deserve and that I can be a blessing to others and not be a curse to them. Spend some time in prayer. Consider all of those things. I pray that you have a great week. We'll see you back here. We'll talk about taming the tongue next week and go a little bit more in depth than what we've been in the last couple weeks. I look forward to it. God bless you. We'll see you soon.